Saudi Aramco just signed a deal to build an oil refinery in China, processing Russian oil. Saudi Arabia is considering using Chinese currency, yuan, instead of dollars for Chinese oil sales. Honduras dumped Taiwan to establish diplomatic ties with China. Xi and Biden might not meet. Katie McFarland with us. This adds up, in my opinion, to a solidifying of the New World Order, with China running things against the United States. I want to know what our response is, or should be.
Well, you're absolutely dead on right. This is the Chinese global world order that the Chinese are moving out very smartly to establish. You know, in the last month, think of what's happened. I mean, the deals that you talked about, the Saudi deals with China, the Saudi brokering a peace agreement between Saudi and Iran, the Chinese going to Russia, basically backstopping Russia for the Ukraine war. The Chinese president saying two really important things. About a week ago, he gave a speech saying to the third world, and he said, you know, I'm proposing a Chinese global initiative, peace initiative for civilizations. China is going to stand guard on the world, but all the other countries in the world, you can keep your culture, you can keep your society, you can keep your corrupt leaders. In fact, we'll probably even bribe your corrupt leaders. But what they're saying, what Xi Jinping is saying, is that in the new Chinese world order, unlike America, we're not going to shove woke ideologies down your throat. We're just going to let you do whatever you want to do. And then when the Chinese president last week said, with the Russian president standing right next to him, he said, we are going to see a change, a rapid change that the world has not seen in 100 years. He is saying everything to endorse the global world order that China is going to run at the expense of the U.S. Meanwhile, what's the Biden administration doing? Nothing.
Nothing.
They're kind of ignoring the problem. They're in denial. They won't admit that we have an issue, and they won't do anything about it. And they're so focused on the Green New Deal and the woke ideology that they're not paying any attention, as they ought to, of changing the dynamic in American foreign policy by fixing our economy, by going on the offensive with green energy. Forget it. Forget the war on fossil fuels. America should be the energy dominant country in the world, and we are not.
Well, Vice President Harris is going to Africa this week, trying to counter China's influence in that region. I have a suspicion, KT, that this is partly about cobalt mining, vital to electric cars, centered in Africa. China owns the mines, employs child labor in these mines. It's cobalt that it's all about in Africa, isn't it?
Yeah, it's cobalt, it's the rare earth minerals, and then it's also Africa is very rich on a lot of natural resources. And that's why China in the last 10 years has been buying up not only African leaders, but buying up more and more companies in Africa. Now, they're not employing Africans to run these companies, giving jobs to the Africans. They're bringing the Chinese in. And so what they now will have is a presence on the ground in every one of these countries. Not Chinese military, but a Chinese economic presence in all of these countries. They've done the same thing in South America. They've done the same thing in the Indo-Pacific region. The Chinese have moved out all over the world, and they know that the growth of the world economy in the next 20 years is not going to come from Europe or even Asia. It's going to come from the global South. It's going to come from Africa. It's going to come from South America. It's going to come from the southern Indo-Pacific countries. And China is already in these countries. And if the Vice President of the United States is going there to talk about her woke ideology, it is going to fall on very tin ears.
Got it. KT McFarland, always good stuff. Thank you very much, KT. We'll see you again soon.